And we're back! This is Dimensions in Time. You can just call me D. So imagine my surprise this week when I actually had some time to play Minecraft and started to load up my little world. And pretty much every single mod that I had, once again, had to be updated. This is the problem when you don't play for weeks on end because, work gets in the way, things get in the way. And then you go back to play, and all your mods need to be updated. So I basically went through the entire list of mods, and if something needed to be updated, I downloaded it, including Forge. So everything was upgraded, however you want to say it. And what happened? It didn't load. Logistics pipes was the problem. What I had to do was remove logistics pipes and a few other piping mods that were installed and just loaded up with Buildcraft 7, and then the world loaded. But I lost all my pipes. Now, let me show you what I mean here. As you can see down here, none of the pipes that were on my machines before, all my sorting system as well, is all bare. And the packagers down here also, no more pipes. Since all these are no longer hooked up as a sorting system, and I had already wanted to start making a applied energistics system, or AE2, some people call it, I decided to just go ahead and do that. So I've also got some crystals going in here for some pure, what are those things called? Fluix, the pure Fluix crystals. So I've got some of those cooking in there. And as you can see, I made another puddle and made almost a whole stack. I've started making the glass cabling to hook up the machines back and forth, and for energy and for storage. I accidentally made 18 panels. That's the difference when you shift click rather than just normal click. So that's where I am. I actually started producing some stuff. I'm starting to run out of iron, so I've got to get the quarry going and hopefully get some iron being processed. I'm going to have to hook up a logistics pipe little system down here to replace. And here's one of the other cool things that I found. There's a mod called Additional Pipes that takes you back to the old Red Power days. If you ever watch some of the older videos out there with wireless transport of fluids, items, and power, this has a frequency attached to it, so that you just set it to receive, send receive, or disabled. Send only. I've got this one on receive. I've got one under here hooked to my water tank, and it is wirelessly now transmitting water from the tank to these two machines. Now the beauty of this is you can make a bunch of different fluid teleport pipes, set them all to frequency 10, and all of them will receive water from this one output. So I love that. I absolutely love that. I don't have to have underground cables or underground pipes going over here. I can now do it wirelessly. If on one of the upper levels at any time I need water, I basically just make a fluid teleport pipe, set it to the same frequency, and boom, we're good to go. That's pretty neat. So I'll go over some of that stuff too once I start building out. So that's where we are. So here's some proof of something that I wasn't sure of. Can you take Buildcraft pipes and connect them straight to thermodynamics pipes? And it looks like you can. Seems to work. So what I've done here is taken the fluid teleport pipe and set it for a lava setting. And I've picked up the ender tank that was down here. Now I can take this up to my main spot up here where I build, and somewhere over here maybe I can throw down this ender tank. and then put that on it. Oh wait, I've got to put a pipe on it first, so let's put this emerald pipe on there. Come on, mouse. What's wrong with you? There we go. Oops. Now I set this to frequency 1, I think. And that's on send only. So now any of these pipes that I put on frequency 1 to receive, which I believe is the case downstairs here, and you can see I'm actually starting to use some of my lava in there because it's not being replenished. And this is on frequency 1 and it's on receive only now. Now we should start seeing it fill up. And it doesn't look like it is. And that's because maybe this is the wrong direction. Not sure. Let's see if I replace this. Since that's an extraction pipe, maybe it's trying to extract. Here's my stone fluid pipe. So let's put a stone fluid pipe on here and see if maybe that does the trick. Yeah, there we go. Now it's starting to fill back up again. So now the end result of this is going to be, if there's ever a problem in the nether, I'll know it when I'm up here because I'll see the lava not coming up here. And anything that needs lava fed to it. And now what I can probably do is take one of these. I can make myself a magma engine and put it over here on my applied energistic stuff, and that'll power that. And all I need to do is just put one of these fluid teleport pipes on there to feed it lava, rather than having to build myself another ender tank and use up ender pearls. And it's a lot simpler build. So that's a cheap solution to a problem. I know it's probably, it's probably cheating a little bit, but it's an easier solution to spread lava throughout the system until we get the nuclear power grid up. So there we go. Hey guys, so I wanted to show you a quick update on what I've been doing here. Here is the beginnings of my ME storage system. I've got myself a terminal here, and I've already started putting in items into my hard drive, my ME drive. I've made myself a few storage cells, including even one big one, 64K. That's probably where I'm going to put most of the large items. They'll get shunted down there as needed. Basically what this system does is it takes up as much as it can of each one and shunts things around inside of here so that they fit the best way that they can. So as you can see, I've already taken up 3 of these storage cells, and look at all the items that are in here. There's a lot of items. That's about half, maybe a little bit less than half, every chest all the way up to that one. So all my ores are still here. And oh, I actually did empty that one out too. I'm going to do the ores last. So basically that's more than half. That's more than half of my inventory has fit into these 3 plus a little bit into that one. This one's still empty. You can see 0 of 65,000 bytes used and 0 of 63 types used. Now the way that this works is you get to fit 63 types of items in there, and then the size is measured in bytes. So you can put 63 types on this one little storage cell, and you can store 4096 of those items. So let's take a look, and I built myself a chest to show you how this works. Okay, so all these items are on that one card. Okay, now let's actually let's sort it by the number of items downward. So you can see that I got a processor in there, 12 quartz glass, 28 gold, 21 diamonds. So a lot of the larger items will probably get shunted down to a bigger storage cell as we move along. The chest will actually hold one of these things. So let's take a look at another one. And basically what you do is you put it in the slot there and then click the top there to get yourself. That's basically a terminal on top of the chest. If you click the chest, it only allows you to remove and add the storage cell in there. So here's the contents of this storage cell. It looks like it's a lot of ones. 408 gravel, 291 of these triple compressed. Cobblestone, so there's a lot of stuff in there. Where the large items are probably going to come into is when I get ready to get the barrels set over here, because a lot of these barrels are holding, like, look at this. I've got coal in there, 58 by 64 plus 60 pieces. So I've almost got 64 stacks. I'm at 58 stacks plus 60 pieces. So I'm almost 59 stack. That's a lot of coal. That's going to take up a lot of memory. And that's why I built the big card. It took me a long time because you've got to sit here and use the inscriber to compress a lot of stuff in order to make these things. But that's why I made the big cell, because a lot of those items are going to end up on this big cell. So that's where we are. I'm going to continue to... let's do this one now anyway. Show you what I'm doing. Basically, I'm just running back and forth and just throwing them in. See where we are now. So this one's almost done now too. So I'm going to have to make a few more of these 4K. Now, there are larger ones too. You can make 16K, but they're a little expensive. Basically... You have to make each one of these items, and it gets pretty expensive, and it's pretty tedious too. And until I automate the creation of these chips that go in here, it's going to take me a long time, because these are the ones that take up the most time. Okay, you have to get the crystal and then press it to get yourself a circuit. Let's see here. And then you have to add a printed silicon circuit and then add redstone, and you get yourself the processor. It's a tedious process to make processors, so that's why I'm tending to stick to the smaller ones, the mid-size ones. There's a 1K, there's a 4K, and then 16, and then the big 64. So the 4K I think of as the mid-size. That's what I want to use the most of. And that's probably, a couple more of these, like maybe 3 more of these, and I should be able to fit my entire inventory in there, plus the storage cell, the big storage cell at the bottom for the larger amounts of items that I have, and then we should be good. So that's where we're at. Hey everybody, Dimensions in Time here. Just wanted to give you another quick update on what's been going on. Basically, I have rearranged my entire Minecraft life in this Let's Play. So as you can see, I no longer have my storage system in the chests along the bottom here. I've got everything into this AE system. I've got 2 ME drives, some with little smaller than others as far as the storage cells go. I started making 64K now, so we're getting there. But basically, I've got a controller. A couple of the outer things are things like the energy acceptor. I've got that hooked up to both RF and IC2, so the system's powered 2 ways now. I've got an energy cell which will store some power, the controller which allows me to have more machines. I've got a pattern terminal so that I can make patterns for the molecular assembler, which will build things. I've also got a terminal which shows that I've made a couple patterns already for some things that you end up crafting all the time, or some of the easier crafting recipes. And got a chest here, And around the back over here, I've got my processor and storage. Really, all you ever need is this little guy right here and a power source and at least a crafting monitor. That could make up a small ME system, as well as a way to store, basically. You would need either a disk drive or you could use the chest with one cell. I don't have a cell in there now, but that's the simplest that you can get. I've also got some dense cable running downstairs and across here, actually. And let me show you downstairs here what's happened. I'm slowly starting to get this integrated. As you remember in my last little look in, the logistics pipe system basically is gone. And the reason being, I did get it working. Excuse me. I did get it working to an extent, but their upgrades are extensive. A lot of things aren't working properly. I couldn't get it to actually transport the items. I couldn't get the basic logistics pipes to actually hook up to some of the stone pipes that I had made from the beginning. So I scrapped it. And basically what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to run this dense cable over here, and I'm going to come down here and put the ME cables all along here for the input and output of items into and out of these machines. I may actually do a chest maybe right here that feeds in to all these and possibly use Ender IO pipes just because they're easy to get to do both input and output as far as pulling and feeding items into these machines. And the filters are pretty easy to make, so we could filter it so that certain machines do certain items. So I might do that and then have that basically just import back into the system. And if you remember over here, I used to have a bunch of packagers over here to take care of cobblestone and sand and gravel and all those things that you end up having a ton of. And as you can see, I've reduced my cobblestone. I had over 100,000 cobblestone at one point in here, and now it's basically reduced down to a bunch of triple compressed cobblestone. So the way that I did that was, in order to get that to work with the ME system, basically what happens is I've got a I've got an importer here that's importing back from the thing, but I've got these up here on top of these packagers set up to pull things from different items and package them. So I was actually doing dirt now since I did cobblestone. But basically what's going to happen is this is going to pull quartz into here, and it's making quartz blocks. As you can see, you can just see that it just happened. It's pulling quartz as my quarry, which is outside, feeds into this ender chest, right? Everything that comes from the quarry goes into this ender chest, and underneath here I've got an import bus that takes it into the ME system. And then these export buses are pulling out of the system and going into the packagers and packaging those items. And basically, like I showed in one of the previous videos, it'll either take 4 items, in this case with quartz, 4 of these make a block of quartz, or it'll take the 8. And you can see that 4 just made a block of quartz, and then that gets fed back into the system. So if you look over here and I look for quartz, you can see now that I've got tons of quartz in blocks here. Now what we may want to do is eventually take these blocks of quartz and maybe export them so they don't take up too much space in the disk drive system. Maybe put some barrels out here that can hold that many and feed them into barrels so that they don't take up all my space. Forgot I had a little terminal over here I could have showed you. So the way that the system works is these export into the packager, and then the item conduits pull it out. This is exporting from the ME storage system, by the way, into here. And then these are pulling the items out of the packager into this chest, which is similar to the setup that I used to have. And then this import bus is basically set to import everything, which actually gets put it back into the system. So that's a simplified way to do it, and I've reduced. I used to have a ton of these packagers blocks all the way down the wall, and basically all I'm doing now is once an item starts to take up too much space in the ME system, I just bring it over here and set the export bus to export just that item, and then we just let it run until it goes through and compresses all the items that we need to. I've also got some things that we don't use much of that I have, no use for really, like limestone, gypsum, things like that. I had tons of these in the system. They were taking up way too much space. So I'm now feeding those directly into an extra utilities trash can so that they just go away. I think that's helping to reduce load on my server too. So, now you may have noticed down here that there was a new set of items over here. Excuse me. And this is all Buildcraft stuff. Basically, I'm trying to get to the point where I use these power teleport pipes to power some things. I wanted to try to get to that point. And by doing those with all the Buildcraft items, you have to use some Buildcraft pipes, some Buildcraft additional items, and also some of the BC stuff. So you can see that I'm using transport pipes and things like that. So I've got a tank. There's an oil slick, I guess you could call it. I don't know. It was geyser. It was one of those ones that comes up out of the ground. I'm not exactly sure what what you call those. I've got a pump out there tied to this kind of power, and you can see that this one machine right now is basically just running the pump, excuse me. It's pulling oil in down here. Let me show you over here. So it's pulling oil from that pump. The pump is wirelessly sending oil into this tank that now is being extracted out of here, and you can see that the system's pretty much saturated at this point. It's moving very slowly into this refinery. Okay, Buildcraft Editions has the old refinery does not work anymore with Buildcraft. I think I forget if it was AE Enterprise or AC. I forget who it is that actually wrote that, but the mod author put on their, I think it was on their page, may have been on Reddit, but either way, they said that they lost the code for the old refinery, so it doesn't work. And at this point, a rewrite is kind of fruitless because they're going a different direction. So we may actually see that disappear, but the Buildcraft Editions refinery is a multi-block that is very complicated, but actually pretty cool. And basically you feed power into this, and it takes the fuel that's being made over here, and this is making gas. This is producing a gas, actually, as it comes in here. So the oil is being made into a gas. And then there's another one from Buildcraft Editions called the cooling tower. And that actually takes the gas and water and turns that into actual fuel. Okay, and as you can see, it's not really running very well right now because the system is saturated. It's not burning any of this fuel, so it's just sitting here waiting for fuel to be expended. So once I actually start building some machines that use this fuel as power, we'll start to see the system crank up and run efficiently. So basically it's taking water from my little pond down here that I made with the a thermal expansion accumulator, feeding that into this tower, and then combining the gas and the water and turning it into fuel. Pretty nifty. The end result, as you saw out here, is the fuel being pumped into some Buildcraft combustion engines, and they crank up whenever they need to and send the power wirelessly to wherever I need it to go. So right now it's not doing much of anything until I start building some more Buildcraft machines, which we'll get to later on. But right now the system actually sits there and works. It actually works pretty well. So that's where I am right now. I've got some other plans coming up here. Basically, I want to take these inscribers that actually allow you to make some of the AE2 stuff, and I need to get them making different items for me automatically so that I can start building out some more of this AE2 stuff, and that's where we are. So everything's stored pretty niftily in a system with a crafting terminal that I can actually sit here and pull items out of and craft right here in the terminal. Pretty cool. It's also tied into NEI, so let's say I wanted to show off one of my alpha mods that I've been working on, additional buckets. Okay, and you can use NEI with this crafting terminal to craft buckets. Okay, and this is you probably just saw this is upside down, because why not? Why can't you put these upside down and make an upside down bucket? It's actually still right side up, but you can do it either way. So the additional buckets that I'm working on is a bunch of different buckets that actually will work in the game. We've got wood. You'll be able to make buckets out of wood, out of tin, out of what was the other one that I had? Tin, wood. There were like 3 other buckets. I can't remember, but it's been a while since I worked on that too, because my regular job has intruded on my Minecraft world. So anyway, that's where we are. Day 484. We are chugging along. So I have another update for you soon as I work. Thanks for watching.